Hey, everybody, it's Helen Hillocks, and I am excited to be here with you today, as always. And today I have the inimitable pleasure of having someone who's very beloved to me, Andrea Rodgers, and she is a health and fitness coach, but not the kind you think. So we're going to get into that a little bit later, and she'll give us all the juicy details about what she does and how it's different than you think it would be. So excuse me, I want to tell you why this is so fascinating to me, because in my women's group, Fulfilled Woman Circle, we've been dealing a lot with loving your body issues and loving yourself issues and the masculine and feminine energy balance. And I've done 2 podcasts about that lately. And I feel like this segues beautifully into all 3 of those topics. And, Andrea is going to tell us how. And let's start out, Andrea, talking about how does the culture define health and fitness, and how does it relate to the male domination in our world?
Ooh, that's huge. So the health and fitness industry it's becoming definitely more feminine, but historically has been a very masculine industry. So specifically being a woman in the fitness industry, having been in the industry for about 10 years, a lot of the ways that health is viewed is in a very pushing yang type of energy, a very masculine energy where, there's a certain amount of exercise you need to do no matter who you are. It has to be a certain way. You need to strength train for a certain amount of time per week. You have to do certain exercises. You have to eat 1,200 calories a day. You need to eat this many grams of fat, this many grams of protein, this many grams of carbohydrates. There's this whole formula that has been embedded in the American human, male or female, but mostly for females, in that everything needs to be regimented and robotic. And everything needs to be a certain way for you to feel healthy and for you to be happy. Because when you are a certain size, you are supposed to be happy. And so I began in the fitness industry, like I said, about 10 years ago, with this exact model being kind of the way that I learned how to be a personal trainer and holistic health coach. So that I had to work out a certain amount of time per day. I had to train my clients the exact same way, and that there was this one size fits all approach to how we will become the healthiest versions of ourselves. And ironically, that version of ourselves was very masculine. It was a 6-pack. It was this very lean type of physique. And yeah, a lot of us are bred to believe that that's what we need to be, that we need to do this certain thing to look this certain way. And once we look this way, we're going to be happy finally.
And why do you think women in particular are so susceptible to that formulaic approach that is so not feminine?
I think a lot of it just has to do with looking a certain way. Truly. I mean, we've been fed this information that, being thin will make you be more lovable, that it will allow you to have the life that you want to have. It will make people love you. It will make you have a healthy relationship and all those things. And actually that you'll be a healthy person when ironically, when your body fat's too low, you are the opposite of that. And you are not the sexy version of yourself that you want to be because your libido is low actually. So it's
right.
Ironic.
It can even stop your periods, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what you're saying, if I'm understanding you correctly, is that we women are so susceptible to being dominated by the patriarchy, even in what our bodies should look like, so that, are you basically saying so that we can then please men? And that's really the goal, is to please men so that we get our needs met, get a man to take care of us? Isn't that what it really leads to?
Yes. Yeah. Well, essentially it's yes, putting the power onto another person to receive happiness. But when in reality, the only person that can really make us happy is our own beautiful sacred selves. But yeah, essentially doing all of these things and trying to look a certain way is in order to be loved by a man, because that's pretty much the story that we're told in fairy tales and all the things. And so ironically, that will never give you what you want. The real happiness that you're looking for is coming from a deep place inside of yourself. And yeah, so that, yeah, it's a very interesting thing to have to break apart, because that's not what we're taught, but it's a new way to think. And once you start believing and treating yourself with respect and treating health from a real place, a feminine place, you'll start to realize that all of those other things really don't matter in the end.
So what does social media have to do with it?
Oh boy. Social media has so much to do with it. I mean, you know, the one beautiful thing that has been happening is, like, if you've seen the Dove campaigns, this is happening a few years ago, actually, so it's not even that recent, but that every body size is beautiful. You know, there's been this push finally that you don't have to be a size 0, 2, or 4 to be beautiful. However, most women still sit with this anxiety, with this very ingrained, brainwashed way of thinking that we still need to be a small size to be beautiful and loved. And social media really doesn't help a lot of us, because there is still this facade that most of us put on social media of all the wonderful things that are happening in our lives, all the perfection that's happening within us, and also the way that we can filter everything and change our bodies to be actually not what they really are, which then in turn makes us all feel like we need to be perfect when that's not real.
Yeah, it's a fantasy. You know, it's so interesting though, that there is that thrust toward accepting bigger, fuller figured women. And yet there can be that dynamic of, you know, because I've been fat and fit both alternatingly in my life. And I know when I'm fat, I don't feel good. And it isn't just because I don't feel attractive. It's like, I don't feel good in my body. That's not the real me. And so it's so confusing. Don't you think it's so confusing to help people love themselves, whether they're fat or thin? Mm-hmm. And then let's segue into, because I feel like this segues right into your approach, which is, if you connect to your body and listen to the wisdom of your body and don't measure it according to fat or thin, but let your body find its own size. Is that kind of what you're teaching?
Yeah, absolutely. I think the most beautiful thing about, you know, the life that we all live, and the female body as well, is that it's a journey of peaks and valleys. So, you know, there's never this consistency where we're always the same way. I mean, the female body has a 28-day hormonal cycle. So we are constantly changing all of the time. And also throughout the span of our lives, our bodies are changing as well, hormonally, when we're going through puberty, which is the phase that I feel like most women start to develop these unhealthy patterns of eating, which is when, you know, you're going through puberty, your hormones are changing, and you're actually supposed to be chubby. Like we're supposed to be. We're getting our menstrual cycle for the first time. Like, this is our body needs fat on us. And I think a lot of young girls are terrified of that. So especially now. So that's kind of like the beginning stages, at least when I was struggling most with body image. It started at that phase where I was like, I really shouldn't be carrying weight around my midsection. That's not something that should happen. But yeah, I mean, you know, it's really learning to tap into the inner wisdom of your body, to your intuition, and really feel what it's like for you to take up whatever space it is that you're taking up. There are going to be points in your life that you would feel more comfortable having 10 extra pounds on you. And then there's going to be points in your life where maybe that's not feeling comfortable, but it comes down to you being able to sit with your body and make that decision for yourself, and not have social media make that decision, or a statistic, or the patriarchy make that decision for you of what you should or should not be. That is very much your own power.
But I'm not talking 10 pounds, I'm talking 80 pounds. I'm talking obese. And again, it's like I want to support everyone to love themselves no matter where they are, no matter what age, no matter what color, no matter what gender identity or fluid gender identity they are. I'm all about inclusivity. And yet I wanted to throw that into the conversation because, that's one piece. But what about the health side effects of having 80 pounds too much? 10 pounds, it's like that's not going to make or break your health in any way.
Right.
But 80 pounds is a different story.
Yeah.
So how do you deal with that? Let's talk a minute. Let's go back to your own story of anorexia and why you got into fitness and why you got out of that traditional fitness. And then we'll talk about how to include all these shapes and sizes. And
yeah, so I was not active growing up. Actually, my parents are both musicians. I grew up playing music. I was not really sporty. And I developed very low self-esteem at a very young age, I would say. And I just did not love myself. I think that was like the blanket statement that I could make about everything that I know about my younger self, is I didn't have confidence and I didn't love myself. And I felt like the one thing that I could do that I thought would make things better is if I were perfect, if I looked a certain way, if I was a certain size, then I would be lovable. And if I was lovable, then I would be happy. So most of that came from pretty much controlling the food that I was eating and controlling what went into my body and all of the exercise that I was exerting. So when I was 18, I became a personal trainer while I was in college studying exercise health science. And yeah, I very much became obsessed with making my body into this perfect image of a six pack, of being this woman that I thought that every guy would want to have, that every guy would want to love. And I could just, I could just tell you from experience, it's so not true. It's so not true. And that ended up causing an eating disorder, a very severe one. I was anorexic, depriving myself of food, and then bulimic, where I went on the other end, where I would binge and I would purge. And the ironic part of all of it is it stemmed from the same emotional insecurity that was, I'm just not lovable as I am. And emotional eating disorders, or any eating disorders, really stem from a deep, deep, deep psychological wound, or core wound that needs to be nurtured. And it has nothing to do with food and has nothing to do with exercise.
I love that, because we are such a society of quick fixes and, all the gastric bypass surgeries, and which have so many side effects and dangers. I'm not putting those down though, because I know they've saved plenty of people's lives. So I'm just saying though that we have a very quick fix mentality, and we tend to want to just focus on the behavior. If you're fat, you want to be thin. And we don't talk about, I wonder why you got fat in the first place. And I wonder what that trauma is from your childhood. Are you hiding your femininity? And, I just want to throw that in and not really focus on it because we don't have time. But, there is also deep work to be done in terms of exploring what packed on the pounds to begin with and made you sedentary. but there is so much self-loathing in that. And so how did you segue out of that attitude into the revolutionary approach you use now?
Yeah. So I really I was personal training and pretty much just doing fitness, as how to become healthy. That was like the only modality I really knew. So I was working out quite a bit. I was just using fitness, and then I was struggling with an eating disorder, and I was trying so hard to figure out exactly like what to eat, how to eat. Like I didn't understand. It was so confusing, and I wasn't seeing the results that I wanted to see. So I would say the epiphany I had was I actually took a trip. And I came back from my trip. I went to the South Pacific. I came back from this trip and I realized like there is something else out there to help me feel more comfortable in my body. And it's not just fitness. There's something that I need to learn something more. And I discovered holistic health coaching. And basically, holistic health coaching is looking at health from a whole view. So it's not just food and it's not just exercise, which are the two most traditional things we relate to health. It's your relationships, it's your spirituality, it's your emotional health. It is your childhood wounds. It is your career. It's everything. It's all encompassing. So we look at all of these areas of our lives, and then we're able to see how does this affect your health. It's not just food. It's not just fitness. It is literally everything. So there's a million shades of the rainbow that we can look at instead of it just being black and white.
That's very interesting. Very interesting. So let's talk about, I know that one of your hallmark teachings is the 4 tools to connect to your body. Let's talk about that. And then I know you're going to lead us in a meditation, which I'm really excited about, to have the experience for the audience to actually take a few moments and connect to your body's real time, not just talk about it. But, that's another thing I love about it. It is not just mental. And it's not just physical, it's spiritual, mental, emotional, like you said. So Tell us about the 4 tools. And
yeah, so I mean, there are countless tools that I've used for really tapping into the wisdom of the body. But yeah, the 4 most important tools that are that I use in my practice with people start with a guided visual wellness vision. So essentially, a lot of us feel like there's a box around what's possible for us. Like, what is this idea that we have of ourselves that keep us in the same body and doing the same routine? And a guided wellness vision is a meditation that you can do to help break you out of that box and start to imagine, what is it that who do you really want to be? What kind of person how do you really want to feel is actually the better way to put it. So it could be a 20-minute guided visual meditation that I do with clients, or and you can really find them in a lot of places, to connect to a vision of yourself that really sits truly on your heart of who this person is that you're meant to be.
I want to comment on that because you touched on something so powerful, Andrea, and that is what we're all looking for in everything we do is a way of feeling. We want to feel a certain way. When we have our breasts enlarged, it's because we want to feel a certain way. If we take this job, the 6-figure job is the magic number. Everybody wants to make 6 figures or way more. But it's like, I'm going to feel a certain way. This new car is going to make me feel a certain way. So I love what you're saying about it's not just a visual image of looking a certain way. It's the experience of being that way that you want people to envision. I think that's so powerful.
Yeah. And the more that you tap into the feeling of it, the more you realize how much control you have over how you feel. It's really not, it doesn't have to do with anything tangible. It has to do with truly like you and your own self and what you can imagine that you can truly be. So it's powerful.
Love that. Okay. Is that going to be part of what you guide us in?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, great. Number 2.
Number 2 is going to be a body scan. So this is something you can do every single day. And I like doing it when I wake up in the morning, but pretty much you just sit with yourself, close your eyes, and do a quick scan from the top of your head all the way down to your toes, and really settle into seeing how your body feels. Like what's happening in your body. A lot of the things that I have people really pay attention to is the acidity in their body. How is their body feeling? What does it need? Is it thirsty? Does it need heavier foods? Is it exhausted? Is it wired? Is it anxious? And what type of foods are going to help with that symptom, whatever it is? And food is energy. So if you can think of the energy in your body and what food would help balance out the energy that you have, then you're going to create a pretty amazing effect for yourself. So yeah, a body scan is a really great way to tap into that.
I love that. Again, as a way of guiding what you eat, is to remember that food is nurturing. Food is meant to nurture. Food is meant to heal.
Mm-hmm.
Food can balance us. Again, food is my friend.
Mm-hmm.
Rather than the masculine way of just eat, and food is just fuel. It's
Right. Where's the pleasure? Yeah.
Yeah, that it can be your friend. It can be it without going to the other extreme of using food as an addictive substance, which I definitely have done, and made it into a comfort. That's where I went for comfort. So it's just a radical way of thinking about it. Okay, keep going.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's amazing because you can actually catch yourself prior to going on a binge. You could really catch yourself and be like, okay, what's here? Like, what is here? What do I actually need? And what you think you need, which is chocolate cake, is not actually what you need. But if you get quiet enough, you can really tap into it. The next thing is keeping a food feeling journal. So going through your day, and this takes consciousness, this takes presence and awareness. So all of these things do, by the way. So there are no quick fixes, and that's just not going to happen.
I love that.
Yeah, it's probably never gotten anyone where they wanted to go. So yeah, keeping a food journal that you write down what you're eating and how you feel after you eat it. So again, like tapping into if you are prone to acid reflux, like going through your day and seeing what foods are actually causing this, like what's happening in your body when you ingest certain foods, and keeping a journal of that to see what works for you and what doesn't work for you. And over time, you can start to see these patterns of, every time you have 6 coffees a day, you fly off the deep end, sleep terrible, and have acid reflux. It's like, okay, we know now, like that doesn't serve us. So now what's the next action step we can take in order to make a change?
It's interesting that you mentioned that. I had heartburn. I started having heartburn all the time. I had to have Rolaids in the car and Rolaids in my purse and Rolaids by my desk all the time when I was fat. I had to have Rolaids, and I didn't even think about it when I lost weight and started exercising. I didn't even think about the fact, I don't need those. I never have that now.
Mm-hmm.
I never have that now. So, I'm wondering if just overeating can also cause it.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And you think of it, if food is energy and you're gorging yourself with too much food, then there's no space for your body.
It's so true. It's going to come back up. One of my clients today was, he was having horrible, horrible intestinal problems, drinking tons of coffee and energy drinks. And he thought he had an ulcer. And, he said, but I have cut out he did cut out all of that, and he stopped having all the nausea and everything. And then he said, but I had a cup of coffee today and I didn't get it. And I said, so by all means, bring all that shit back in,
Right.
so that, it's like we're just crazy.
Right.
Not listening to our bodies.
Right. And the funny thing about you saying that the energy drinks and the coffee is the reason we all are consuming these beverages is to keep up with everybody else. And it's like, but then we have to change our whole lifestyle, which again makes it challenging, but it's so rewarding. But this is a journey. It's a process. Like, this is not a quick fix, but it's literally the most rewarding thing. This is our body. This is our physical temple that's carrying ourselves throughout this whole life. And we have to take care of it, or else it's gonna
this guy is a personal trainer and bodybuilder.
Interesting. Well,
in the old model.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. That model is still, it still exists, and people are still struggling.
Absolutely. And still destroying their bodies.
Mm-hmm.
I am constantly talking to him about, are you listening to your body? Okay. So
There's one more.
I was going to say, are we on number 3 or number 4?
We have number 4 left. And the last one is, and these are not in order of how you should do them, but number 4 is journaling your limiting self-beliefs, or self-limiting beliefs. And basically, the rules that you believe that you need, that you have been living by, even subconsciously, even things you're not aware of, that are keeping you stuck in a place that you don't want to be. So examples of limiting beliefs that I carried around with me for a very long time was that I could not eat pasta, that I had to eat 1,200 calories a day or less, and that I had to do cardio 6 days a week to be thin. And it's not true. It's not true. And also, I have to be skinny to be loved.
Didn't you keep losing weight on 1,200 calories? Weren't you just constantly losing weight?
No. So the female body, again, is very complicated. If you don't give your body enough fuel, sometimes it holds on to every single calorie.
Oh.
So it's ironic. It's the weirdest thing. But again, the female body is not something this is not a scientific project. Like, this is just so different per case that it's like the only option now is to learn how to be your own guru, to learn how to listen to your own body with help, like get help from those who are experts in the field. But really, you are going to be the one who's going to make the calls for your body at the end of the day. This is your body.
Well, when you say get help from experts in the field, you're talking about someone who has a philosophy like yours. I mean, not just anybody, because you're going to get some bad advice and then you're going to suffer. And it's interesting because I've met other health coaches who had not exactly the same experience and don't have exactly the same philosophy as you do, but they have burned out. Mm-hmm. on that old way of doing it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I'm happy to see that trend.
Yeah, you're right. Exactly. And it is a lot. It takes a lot of effort to really believe that as a woman, when you're terrified of food. Some women are terrified. They have no idea what to eat. They're terrified to gain weight, but you have to trust that whatever you're doing isn't working, and that you are so much smarter than you think. And your body is innately wise. That's my slogan. Your body is innately wise. And if you learn to trust it, then you're going to find the success and love that you've always been looking for.
I love that. And I want to go back to the journaling about your limiting beliefs, because something I've been working on for myself a lot lately is energizing my feminine aspects. And, I think a lot of women, when you say a lot of women are so terrified of food and so terrified of gaining weight, it's like we're terrified of being women. In a way, the softness, the comfort kind of energy, we're terrified of it. We feel like we can't energize that, or we will just go overboard in some way that's going to keep us from being appealing to a man. And, or, it so goes beyond that. Even it's like we're so brainwashed. Even if you never intend to have another man in your life, you still have this rigid way of thinking that you're not going to be successful unless X, Y, and Z.
Mm-hmm.
So that is such a limiting belief that, I have to get rid of my feminine qualities so that I can accomplish success. And be strong. That's another one. I want to be strong, but I want to be strong in a balanced way. And that's something I just never knew how to do.
Right. And then I just really quickly on that note, I feel like it's important to mention is that when we step into our divine feminine, we honor divine feminine, we're actually healing the masculine, because we're showing what it means to love. And we all have divine feminine and divine masculine within us. So if we can learn to balance that out, that is a ripple effect to all of those that we are in contact with in the energy of the world.
Right. And I love that. If we become more balanced, so will men. So we could talk all day about that, but I want to leave time now for you to do a meditation with us. And I'm excited about it. And I'm going to close my eyes.
Yes, please do. Okay. Well, everyone, whoever and wherever you are, find a comfortable place where it's safe to close your eyes. Ideally with your glutes planted on the ground or on a chair, and start to connect to your breath. Taking a deep breath in through the nose and breathing all the way out through the mouth. And feeling yourself connected to the ground, your butt or whatever is touching the ground, and imagine that there are roots coming all the way from your body down into the ground, connecting you firmly to the earth. Continuing to take some deep breaths, and feeling what it feels like to just take up some space. Almost like you're feeling your body from the inside out. And imagine yourself in your mind's eye, walking in a very beautiful place in nature. Where the sun is just right and the temperature is just perfect. And you are wearing something that you love. And you notice the wind is blowing just the right way. And the trees are beautiful. And you're walking along this path to a body of water. And you find yourself walking close to the shore of this beautiful body of water, this familiar, comfortable place. And you feel the call to go in. And right before you step into the water, feeling this feeling of pure beauty within yourself, you take off this heavy backpack that you've been carrying around with you your whole life. And you step into the water, releasing something that has been holding you down, this energetic weight that no longer serves you. And you step into the water and you imagine yourself floating, feeling weightless, beautiful, and free. As if you've discovered this newfound knowledge that lives deep inside of you. That you know exactly what to do, what to eat, how to move your body, and how to live your life. You tap into this feeling of freedom that you've always longed for, that's always lived deep inside of you. And slowly, you start to float yourself back to shore. And right before you get out of the water, you're given this one little nugget of information of what is the next thing you need to do. What is this action step that you need to take? And as you step out of the water with this newfound knowledge, you are on your way. And start to deepen your breath. Come back into your body with this new knowledge. And whenever you're ready, open your eyes.
My knowledge was softened.
I love it. I love it. Yeah. What a beautiful lesson. Yeah, we all could use a little softening, I think.
Yes. So I'm sort of half out of it, but I want you to tell us what upcoming things. I know you have a retreat planned. I know you have some spiritual circles. So tell us all about how to reach you and about those events coming up.
Yes. So I am co-leading a retreat, yoga, mindfulness, meditation, food freedom retreat in Costa Rica in February 2021. The borders are open safely. So so that is super exciting. It's going to have yoga, meditation, healing rituals. I created something called the Food Freedom Method to help you tap into the wisdom of your body and find freedom through food. We'll be doing lots of things associated with nutrition mindset, and really a great way to unplug, disconnect from technology and from, the everyday life, and reset your body and mind. So all of that information is on my website, which is www.andreaerogers.com. And I also lead a monthly women's circle called That Wise Woman. It is the third Sunday of every month. And it's a space for women to connect and use their voice and sit in sacred circle and learn about the energies of the moon, or this past circle was about the season of fall and the autumn equinox, and different things that are going to help women really tap into their inner wise woman and connect deeper with themselves and with the power of sacred sisterhood.
Awesome.
And all my info is at my website, so you can find everything there.
You do individual coaching?
Yes, and absolutely one-on-one coaching for anyone who's interested in tapping into the wisdom of their body, emotional eating, intuitive eating, anything along those lines. If you're feeling called, please contact me for a free consultation. I'd love to talk to you and hear your story.
And you can guide people in a fitness program and all of those things, help them access all of that, doing it in a balanced, self-loving way on Zoom or video conference, right? They don't have to be in Connecticut.
Nope, you don't have to be in Connecticut. Everything is virtual. Everything's virtual. So, wherever you are. Except
the Costa Rica retreat is in Costa Rica.
That's in person, and it's meant to be in person. So yes, and it will be beautiful and amazing.
Okay. Well, thank you so much. And Instagram?
Yes, Pura Vida Andrea, all one word. So Pura Vida Ndrea. So Andrea's mixed in with that. And please connect with me on Instagram. I'm super active with that.
Okay. So I'll put those things in the comment for both the YouTube and podcast information. And I hope lots of people contact you and that you help shift the consciousness around health and fitness for a long time to come. Thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you so much. It was such a pleasure. And yes, I wish all of the people listening to this love and light and peace and all the beautiful things.
Okay. Thanks, Andrea.